Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine. I am the Reference and Instruction Librarian at the Levy Library, and I welcome you to today's session, which will introduce EndNote 21. So for the next hour, I'll be talking a little bit about how to actually download and install EndNote on your device. I'll then go into a demonstration of how to actually use EndNote. So how do you import, edit your references? How do you find and attach full text to your references? How do you sync and share your library with colleagues? And how do you use the Cite while you write plugin tool or feature in Microsoft Word? I'll also be talking about some new features that comes with EndNote 21, which includes being able to tag your references and also being able to use the Cite while you write plugin in Google Doc. I'll also be talking a little bit about some tips, which includes how to back up and update your library. Before we actually go into EndNote and give you the demonstration of how to use EndNote, I first want to talk about what exactly is EndNote. EndNote is a reference management tool that is used to aid in the storing, organizing, and management of your references. What's really great about EndNote is that you can do things like create and format bibliographies in a variety of different citation styles. You can manage your citations, so being able to add, edit, and remove citations. You can sync your library with your EndNote Web account and also share your library with colleagues. And my favorite part of EndNote is the Cite while you write tool or plugin, which you can use as you are writing your manuscript to add in-text citations and create your bibliographies. I do highly recommend using a reference manager at every stage of your research. It helps to not only keep you organized, but also save the information that you have found and keep everything in one centralized location. We do also have an EndNote guide on the Levy Library website, and this guide touches on a lot of the things that I will be discussing today, which is how to install EndNote and how do you actually use EndNote. So please feel free to visit this guide at any point if you just want to refresh your memory on how to use EndNote. Maybe you forgot to, import citations or how to add full text. I do highly recommend visiting this guide just to refresh your memory whenever you can. With that, we can go ahead and get started with the EndNote demonstration. And the first place that I'm actually going to start off is with the Levy Library EndNote guide. So if I exit my slides here and go into the EndNote guide, this is what the guide looks like. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is how to download and install EndNote, which you will need the EndNote guide to be able to do. To be able to download EndNote on your device, you will go into the EndNote guide, and on the homepage, you will see a button at the bottom that says Download EndNote. When I click Download EndNote, what will happen is I will be taken to a login page where I will be asked to sign in with my Mount Sinai Net ID and password. If you are not familiar with what your Net ID is or your username, please contact IT and they should be able to tell you what your Net ID is. I'm going to go ahead and sign in with mine just to show you what it looks like once you are signed in. Once you sign in with your Sinai credentials, you will be taken to this installation page, this download and installation page. And once you are here, you can go ahead and start downloading and installing EndNote based on the type of device that you have. So that means that if you have a PC, you will be following these set of instructions that says EndNote 21 Windows installation. And if you have a Mac like I do, you will be following the set of instructions at the bottom, which is named EndNote 21 Macintosh installation. Now, I do want to mention a couple of things about installing EndNote. First is that I do recommend reading and paying attention to each one of the instructions that are here, again, based on the type of device that you are using. This is going to allow you to download EndNote without experiencing really any issues. So I do recommend reading all of these instructions and following them thoroughly. Second thing is that if you have a Mac like me, this may happen to you at some point where you might be asked for a product key code. If this occurs, it's because you haven't moved the installer file to your desktop prior to installing. So here in the second bullet point here, you'll see, once the download is complete, go to your downloads folder and locate the file EndNote 21 Cite installer and move it to your desktop. So what you want to do is drag it over to your desktop, and then you can go ahead and start installing. Otherwise, you will be asked for a product key code. I do want to stress that you don't need a product key code. If this occurs, just go ahead and move the installer file over to your desktop and then proceed to install. The third thing about installing EndNote is that if you have a hospital-built computer and attempted to download EndNote, you will notice that you probably had some issues with downloading EndNote on your Mount Sinai hospital-built computer. And that's because you cannot install EndNote on these computers. I do highly suggest using your personal laptop or maybe using EndNote Web. As an alternative, you can try to have IT to install EndNote on your hospital-built computer. And we do have an FAQ right here at the top of the download page, which provides instructions for how you can have it on your Mount Sinai hospital-built computer if this is something that is really important to you. Something else about downloading EndNote is that if you have an old version of EndNote, and you want to upgrade to the newer version of EndNote, you will also come here to this download page and download the new version. You will then wait for your library to automatically move to the new version and then proceed to delete the old program. If you need instructions for how to do that, we also have an FAQ right here where it says important reminder, and we have an FAQ on how to upgrade to the new version and what you would need to do. So once you have downloaded EndNote, I also recommend creating an EndNote Web account. So if I go back to the guide here, and under Getting Started, there's a tab called EndNote Web. I recommend creating an EndNote Web account. EndNote Web is the online counterpart to the EndNote desktop program and adds another way to access your EndNote library. While it is not mandatory, if you're interested in doing things like syncing your library, sharing your library with colleagues, maybe opening a library that has been shared with you, or using the Cite while you write tool in Google Doc, an EndNote Web account will be needed. To create an EndNote Web account, what you will do is go to myendnoteweb.com, and you will be taken to this page here. You will go ahead and register, create your account, and then you're going to go ahead and sign in. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign into mine just to show you what it looks like. And once you sign in, you will notice once you sort of have used EndNote long enough is that the EndNote Web version is for the most part going to resemble very similarly to the EndNote desktop program. So you will be able to find your groups, which I will talk about what that is in a second. And you will also see your references and any other kind of information that you would also see on the EndNote desktop program. So I do highly recommend having or creating an EndNote Web account, just so that you have another way to access your library. Maybe you're using a different computer that's normally not yours, or just sort of like as a backup to have it here as well. And again, if you're interested in syncing and sharing your library, opening a shared library, or using the Cite while you write tool in Google Doc, I do highly recommend also creating an EndNote Web account. Once you have created your EndNote Web account, again, completely optional, it is not mandatory. But again, if you want those extra features and just an extra level of being able to access your EndNote library, again, highly recommend doing this. But once you've already done this, what you want to do is actually go ahead and start creating and saving your library. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and collapse my browser here and my presentation. And then what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and open EndNote 21. Just to show you what a populated library looks like, if I open EndNote and show you my library, this is what a populated library looks like. You will see here on the left-hand side sections to help you organize your library. So this is where you will find your groups, your tags. This is where you're going to find information for finding full text and also the online search feature. On the middle here, you will find a list of your references. And off to the far right, you will find here the citation information. You'll find the abstract. You will find the citation information here. And this is also where you will access your PDFs once you have attached full text to your references. Most of you guys, though, if not all of you, will be starting off with a new library if this is your first time using EndNote. So that's how I'm actually going to start off as well, is with a new library. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my library there. And we're going to go ahead and create a new library. Now, before I create a library, I do want to make this note if you are a Mac user like I am. If you're a Mac user, you may notice nothing appearing on the screen when you launch the EndNote 21 program. So I'm going to go ahead and click on EndNote here at the bottom, and you'll notice that nothing is appearing. If this happens to you, this is completely normal. That's because you haven't created a library yet. You know that EndNote 21 has launched when you see the EndNote 21 icon here at the top of the toolbar, right next to the Apple icon. So I see here EndNote 21, so I know that EndNote 21 is indeed launched. It's just that I haven't created a library yet. If you are a PC user, what you will notice is when you launch EndNote, a pop-up will appear, and you will see an option to either create a new library or open an existing one. So you want to go ahead and click Create a New Library. But because I'm on a Mac, I'm going to go ahead and create my library a little bit differently. So to create my library, what I'm going to do is go to File here, also at the top of the toolbar, and select New. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And then what you want to do is go ahead and give your library a name. You can keep it to My EndNote Library, or you can give it a different name. So I'm going to go ahead and label mine My Awesome Library. And before I save this, I do want to mention a couple of things about saving your library. I recommend to save your library in your computer's hard drive. Please do not save your EndNote library in the cloud. Because EndNote is considered to be a database to a certain degree, saving it in the cloud will corrupt it over time. So I do recommend that when you save your library, you keep it in Documents. You could alternatively keep it in your Applications folder. I'm going to keep mine under Documents for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and save. And now you will see your new library appear here. Mine is nice and crisp and clean here, just like how yours will be. Now, before I go ahead and actually start showing you how to use EndNote, I do want to mention one more thing about saving your library. So if I open my Finders folder here, and I go into my document section where I kept my library, really important that you know where you saved your library so that you can access it. But most importantly, I do want to mention that when you save your library, you will see two folders, or two files rather. You will see a .data file and a .enl file. These two files must live together in order to be able to use and open your EndNote library. The .enl file is your library, while the .data file stores all of the corresponding information for your library. Which means that if you move one of the files, you would have to move the other one as well. Both of these have to be together. So if I decide in the end I wanted to move these over into my Applications folder, I will need to move both of these files in order for EndNote to work properly. Otherwise, you may experience some issues with being able to just use EndNotes. So I do recommend keeping these together because this is going to allow your EndNote to be able to open and function properly. So now that we've created a library, I always like to say that best practice is to create one library and have groups within your library to separate your project. This allows you to have a centralized space for all of your work. You can think of this as like a filing cabinet. So your library would be the cabinet. Your groups, which you can see here on the left-hand side, you can think of these as the folders. And then the references that you place into your groups, you can think of as like the papers that you have in those folders. So it's always best practice, have one library, have your different groups or your different folders for the different projects that you are working on, and then go ahead and add those citations into the appropriate groups. It's a great way to keep things organized and have everything in one space compared to having several libraries where you may get confused as to, which library did you keep which project. And it's just, this way is just a lot more secure to make sure that everything is in one space and you know where to look for all of the projects that you are working on. So to be able to create those groups, what you want to do is that there's two ways to create groups. One way is I can just right click under my groups here on the left-hand side and select create group, which is this first option here. Alternatively, I can go into the top of the toolbar where it says groups and create group. So either one of these will work. I'm going to go ahead and right click and create my group. And we're going to pretend like I'm doing a project here on childhood asthma. And then to save this group, I'm just going to click anywhere outside of the box to save it. So here we've created our groups. You can create more groups. You can also choose to create a group within a group. So let's say I wanted another group underneath childhood asthma. I can select create from groups, and I can have that option as well. So a lot of different ways that you can go about this, but I find it easier just to have those different groups for your projects. Again, you can think as this as like a filing cabinet. So you would have those different groups for the different projects you are working on. So once we've created our group, we can go ahead and start actually adding things in. So adding our references. What's really great about EndNote is that there are several ways to add references into your library. One way is from within EndNote itself, so within the EndNote desktop program. There is a feature called the online search feature or function, which you can find here on the left-hand side at the bottom, right here where it says online search. This feature allows you to search for references from within the desktop application. To use this feature, I'm just going to go ahead and go to online search, and I'm going to select one of these databases here. So I'm going to go ahead and select PubMed. If none of these databases work for you, there are other ones that you can choose from. So right next to online search, you will see this plus sign button here. And if I click on that, you will see other options here for databases. So you can choose whichever other ones work for you. For now, though, I'm going to stick with PubMed. Now, this feature, I should stress before I start using it, is primarily suitable for when you already know what you want. I do not recommend this for in-depth literature searching. If you want to do an in-depth literature search, I do highly recommend just going on the databases themselves and doing the search there. This feature is suitable for when you already have a certain identifier like a PMID or a title or a DOI, information that you already have that you want to start adding into your library. I actually have a PMID that I want to add in. So to be able to use this, what I'm going to do is right at the top here where it says author, I'm going to go ahead and click on that, which is going to lead to this drop-down menu. And what you want to do is go ahead and select the information that you have. I have a PMID, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. And I'm going to go ahead and start adding the PMID that I already have at hand. And we're going to go ahead and search that. And then here you will see the reference pop up. Now, if I want to add this into my library, I can just go ahead and drag and drop this over into my childhood asthma group here. Alternatively, to add into your group, what you can also do is right-click here and add references to either a pre-existing group, or you can choose to add it and create a new group. But I just dragged and dropped mine over. So if I go into my childhood asthma group here, you'll see my references, my reference right there in my childhood asthma group. So this is one way to add things in. Another way to add things in is actually from a database. So if I go back into my browser here and go into PubMed, I've already searched here childhood asthma, just to save a little bit of time. And what's really great is that you can import a single or several citations from a database. So I'm going to select this first article here, pretending that it's 100% relevant to my childhood asthma project. To import a single reference into your EndNote library from PubMed, what I'm going to do is go to the Send To button at the top and select Citation Manager. From here, I'm going to go ahead and create a file. And this is going to go ahead and download a .nbib file, which is specific to EndNote. You can teach your browser to automatically save files of this type so that you don't have to constantly keep clicking on it in order for it to show up in your library. For now, though, I'm just going to click on this and it's going to go straight into my library. So here we have the citation, and every time a new citation is imported, you'll be able to find it here under imported references. So what I'm going to do is do the same thing that I did when we were using the online search feature. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop this reference over into my childhood asthma group. And now I have two references. So we're building our library here together. So what I'm going to do is go back into PubMed here. Now that I've shown you how to import a single reference from PubMed, I want to show you how you can import several references into your EndNote library. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a couple of these, and you'll notice that as I start selecting references, this little box here is following me at the top. I'm going to select maybe 4 of these. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did when I was trying to import that single reference earlier. I'm going to go to Send To here at the top, and we're going to send this to my citation manager. From here, you can either choose to select the 4 here that I have, or whatever you have selected. You can choose to import all of the results or all the results on this page. I'm going to keep the 4 that I have selected and go ahead and create the file. And again, you're going to see this .nbib file. And if I click on it, it's going to pop up here in EndNote. And then the same thing, I'm just going to go ahead and start highlighting these and just drag and drop it over into my childhood asthma group. And if I select my group there, you see already that we are building our library here. We already have quite a few references that we are building together here. Now, I do want to show you what this looks like on other databases that are not PubMed. Every database will have an option to import citations. However, the files might have slightly different names. You always want to search for certain language when you're trying to figure out where you should go to be able to export the reference and import it into your EndNote library. So you always want to look for keywords such as .ris. In this case, for PubMed, it was this Send To option here. Other places might have the word cite or export. So you want to look for language like that when trying to figure out where you should go to be able to export that reference and import it into your library. So I'm going to go ahead and go into Scopus, which is another database that is available to you via the Levy Library. And I've already searched childhood asthma already in advance. And again, similar to PubMed, you can import a single reference or several references. So I'm going to go ahead and click one of these. So I'm going to select this first one here. And again, I'm going to scroll, and I know that the language is going to look a little bit different from when we were in PubMed. So what I'm going to do is just scroll very slowly until I see something, some kind of language that looks like this is where I would need to go if I want to import this reference into my library. And I see this section here that says export. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, hoping that this would be the right place to go. So if I click export, it looks like indeed this was the right place to go because I see options to export the file. And what I'm going to do is go to EndNote RIS here at the bottom under Reference Managers. And Scopus is a little bit different from PubMed, whereas with PubMed, it just went ahead and downloaded the file once you had selected Create File. Here, Scopus is going to ask you what kind of information, what other kinds of information, apart from the citation information, you want to also add. So you can choose to add bibliographic information, abstract and keywords, or maybe some other kind of information. I usually like to add bibliographic information and also the abstracts and keywords. So I'm going to go ahead and select those. But what you choose to select will depend on you and what you need at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and click on export here on the lower right, and it's going to create a .ris file. Now, EndNote recognizes multiple file types. It recognizes .nbib files, which PubMed created earlier. It creates, it's able to recognize .ris file, which is one of the most basic files, and it's also able to recognize other file types like .enw files as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this file, and it's going to take me straight to EndNote here. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop that over into my library. So again, we're building our library here. We have quite a few references in already. I do want to show you also what this looks like on a journal. So here I'm on JAMA. And I just want to show you that you can also do this on a place that is not like PubMed or Scopus. You can also do this on a journal site as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and select one of these articles. So I'm going to go ahead and select this first one here. And again, I'm going to be looking for language that looks like is where I would need to go in order to be able to import the citation into my library. So I'm just going to scan the page really quickly, and I see right off the bat this section here on the right that says Cite this. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And looks like we're at the right place because it's giving me the option to download the citation file. And you can go ahead and then click for the appropriate reference manager. Obviously, this is an EndNote demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and select EndNote here under Download Citation File. And this is going to create a .enw file. So this is another file that EndNote recognizes. And if I click on that, and same thing, EndNote didn't appear here at this time, but it's fine. If I go back into my library here, you will see it here under imported references, and you can just go ahead and drag and drop that over. And now we have 8 references here in our childhood asthma group. Another way to get things in is from the Levy Library catalog. So I'm going to go ahead and move over into our library catalog, which you can access through the Levy Library website at library.mssm.edu. And I'm going to go ahead and just show you again the same thing. It's just showing you how you can do this from the catalog, just to show you how you can import references from so many different locations. I'm going to go ahead and select one of these. I feel like I've already imported quite a few articles, so maybe this time I want to import a book. So we're going to go ahead and select the second one. It's going to take you straight into the information for that resource from our catalog. And if I wanted to add this information, this reference into my EndNote library, what I'm going to do is again search for that language. So I'm just going to scroll here under Send To. I'm like, citation, this doesn't look right. This looks like really just to copy the citation over, copy and paste. So I'm just going to keep looking. And I see this option here that says Export RIS EndNote /Zotero. This looks like this is where I would need to go to be able to download or export this reference and import it into my EndNote library. So I've already clicked on it and I'm going to select download here. And it's going to export it as an RIS file. So if I click on that and go back into my EndNote library here, you'll see it there. And we're going to drag and drop this over into my EndNote library. And now we have 9 references. Now, there may be situations in which a citation may not import properly, or citations in which you want to add, such as podcasts, atlases, newspapers, things that you can't just import as easily as just being able to go into PubMed and export it. In situations like these, you would want to import the citation manually. So to be able to import manually, there are 2 ways. You can either select this reference tab here at the top of the toolbar and select new reference. Alternatively, you can also click on this plus sign symbol here at the top of your references. So here we have our references, and here at the top you will see this like paper clip icon here with a plus sign. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and that's also another way that you can add a reference manually. So either go on references or select this icon here. Once you select that, you're going to go ahead and choose the appropriate reference type for what you're trying to import. So here where it says reference type, it's automatically defaulted to journal article. However, if you click on it, you will see a drop-down menu with other options. So again, you might have to import manually for things that are not as easy to import, like maybe you're looking to import a reference for the map, or a patent or pamphlet, maybe a web page you want to import manually, or a podcast. And if you click on this, you will notice the fields change depending on the information that you are trying to import. So you can also import things manually as well. Now, once you have imported your citations, these citations itself may not always be imported perfectly. So it may have errors or mistakes, such as errors in capitalization or misspellings. If you ever want to edit the citations to fix these errors, or maybe you want to add some other kind of information, like maybe you want to add some notes to one of these citations, what you want to do is navigate to the right-hand side to this pop-up here that's on the right. And we're going to go to Edit, which is right next to Summary here at the top right. And if I click on that, you're going to see the citation information, and you can go ahead and just edit what you feel like needs to be edited. In this case, with this particular citation, I noticed that the D here under for De Benedict's has a lowercase. So maybe I decide I want to change this and have this be uppercase. Maybe I decide that I want to add other information here that I have. Maybe this is a reprint edition. You can go ahead and add that. Maybe you want to add some other keywords, or maybe you want to add some notes to that. So maybe I'm like, you know what, I don't want what's already there. I'm writing notes. And then once you've sort of made the edits that you've needed, you can go ahead and click on Save here at the top right. And now any corrections that you have made, anything that you have added has been saved here, and it's going to stay there. So that's how you would edit any citations if you feel like something needs to be edited, or again, if you just want to add some other kind of information here, like maybe you want to add notes. Now, EndNote 21 has a new feature that allows you to create tags or labels to help you organize your references. This feature is only available in EndNote 21, so if you have an older version of EndNote, this feature will not be available. In order to create a tag, again, a couple of ways that you can do this. One way is to select the Tag tab here at the top of the toolbar and create a tag. You can also go to my tags here and right click and create the tag. That's actually how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and right click and create the tag here under my tags. And then from here, you can go ahead and give your tag a name. So how you choose to organize your tags will depend on you. I'm thinking that, maybe I want to organize my tags based on study type. So maybe I'm like, you know what? I want one tag that I can apply to systematic reviews. And maybe I want this to be orange. And I'm like, you know what? I want to create a couple more tags. So I'm going to go ahead and create another one. I'm like, maybe I want to literature reviews here to be able to tag the appropriate reference that are literature reviews and create this tag. And let's go ahead and create another one. So let's go ahead and create another tag. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I want one for trials. And maybe I want this to be green. And I'm going to go ahead and create the tag. So again, how you choose to organize your tags will be up to you. I chose here for this demonstration to just do it by study type, but you may want to label your tags a different way. And once you have created those tags, they will show up under my tags here on the left-hand side. So you see here, there's my tags, and then these are the tags that I have created. Now, if I wanted to add a tag to these references, I have two ways that I can do that. I'm going to go ahead and select a reference, and I can either stay under summary here on the right-hand side and scroll down until I see a button that says manage tags. Alternatively, I can go to edit and also go to manage tags here at the top. So whichever way you choose to add it really doesn't matter. I'm going to stick to summary here and just go ahead and select manage tags at the bottom. And then from here, you can choose to select one tag. You can choose to select several tags. So I'm just going to go ahead and select just two of these randomly and select OK. And then you will see those tags appear here on the right-hand side. So you see here under summary, these tags are there, and under edit, the tags here are at the top. If I remove this pop-up here on the right, you will also see them labeled here as well, the color codes you should be able to see. So let's say I decide that I want to edit some of these tags. What I can do is I can go ahead and select one of these tags. Maybe I'll select literature reviews. And I'm going to go ahead and right click, and I can choose to either rename my tag, or maybe I want to edit the tag, which editing the tag would basically be just changing the color. So let's say if I want to rename the tag, I can go, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I want to call this narrative reviews because that's how I'm used to saying it maybe. And maybe for systematic reviews, I decide I want to change the color. So I'm going to go ahead and edit the tag. And I'm like, you know what? I actually want this to be purple because I like purple. So we're going to go ahead and update the tag. So you can edit these tags as you see fit. And again, you can categorize them as you see fit as well. Now, once you have added things into your library, you're like, okay, Catherine, I sort of got the gist here of how to import citations and be able to edit it and, create tags. But how do I add full text PDFs to my references? When you add citations into your library, a PDF will not be automatically saved with it. The good thing about EndNote is that it makes it easy to grab full text using the Find Full Text feature. Now, there is a way to set up EndNote so that it connects to the Levy Library catalog and find full text when it can from the library catalog. However, I will not be demonstrating that today and do highly recommend taking a look at the EndNote guide for how to do so. My concern right now is just to show you how to actually use the Find Full Text feature. So if I want to add full text to these references here, what I'm going to do is just select the references that I want to add or locate the full text for. In this case, I want to search for full text for all of the references that I have here in my group. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all of them. And then from here, there are three ways that you can locate full text. You can either right click and search for find full text here. Or you can go to this little sort of magnifying glass icon here at the top as well. So there's that option that you can click on this as well. Another way also is that you can go to the references tab at the top of the toolbar and search for find full text. So this is another option. I'm used to right clicking, so I'm just going to go ahead and right click on these references and find full text. Now, when I select find full text, here on the left-hand side under find full text, you will see that it is searching for the full text PDFs for the references. It will let you know if it has found the PDFs for the references and automatically attach it. And you know that it has been attached because you will see these little paperclip icons right next to the reference here on the reference lists. It will also let you know if it was unable to find any PDFs for these references. Now, if you have set up EndNote so that it connects to the Levy Library catalog, when you select find full text, it will ask you to sign in with your Mount Sinai credential. So a pop-up will appear. And then it will try to locate the full text from the Levy Library catalog. And then same thing, it will let you know if it has found anything or not. And then if it has, you will see this little paperclip icon here, and it will also let you know that it has found either a URL or the PDF. Now, in some cases, the article will not be found and automatically attached. So you see here, I was able to find 3. So here I have, it's been able to locate for this one and also these other 2. However, that may not always be the case. Sometimes EndNote just can't find the full text. So in situations like these, what you would have to do is you would have to go into basically locate that reference and download the PDF, and then you would have to attach it. So just to show you really quickly what that looks like, I'm just gonna go ahead and select this one here, just randomly. I'll just select one of these random ones. So maybe I'll select this one. And I'm gonna go ahead and download this article, which it looks like this one we don't have. So I'm going to go ahead and select another one. Probably select this first one here. And I'm going to download the PDF. To which it looks like this one is probably not working either, but that's okay. But the idea here is that if you wanted to attach manually, you would go ahead and just, let's say, go into PubMed, you would download the PDF. And then once you have downloaded the PDF, you're going to go ahead and select the reference that you want to add the PDF to. And under summary here on the right-hand side, you will see this option that says attach file. And when you click that, you're going to go ahead and locate that PDF that you want to add to your reference. Make sure that you are selecting PDF, that it's a PDF file, and then you're going to go ahead and add it in. So that's how you would add a PDF manually to a reference, because again, it may not always pull the full text. But once you have a PDF, so I'm going to go ahead and select this one since this one has a PDF on it. Once you have a PDF attached, you can read it from within EndNote and add notes. You can highlight, and it will be saved within the application. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this one. I'm like, okay, I want to read the full text here that is attached. So I'll be able to access and read the full text. I'm going to click on this reference. And then on the right-hand side here, on the top right, you will see this PDF option, which is right next to edit. And if I click on that, here you will see the PDF appear. So I can choose to expand this and start reading here. I can choose to highlight. So maybe I want to highlight this section. I can choose to add some notes. So maybe I decide I want to add some notes to this. So maybe I'll just add, I'm writing tons of notes. and then collapse that. And then you want to make sure that you are actually saving this. So you're just going to click this little save icon here on the top right, which is right next to the printing icon. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then you should be able to see any sort of edits, any highlights, any notes that you have added to your PDFs here as well. And it shouldn't go anywhere as long as you've saved it. So the next thing that I do want to talk about is how to actually sync and share your library. If you want to sync or share your library, you will need an EndNote Web account to do so. So again, if you've created your EndNote Web account, you need EndNote Web in order to be able to share your library and also sync your library to EndNote Web. To sync your library, what I'm going to do is go to EndNote 21 here at the top. So this little EndNote 21 icon or tab here at the top of the toolbar. I'm going to go into settings or preferences, and then I'm going to go to sync here, which I already have. And it also already has my my account credentials from my other library, since this one was a demonstration. And I'm going to go ahead and enable sync, select OK. And then we're going to select save. And then you just want to give it a moment to sync your library. And if you don't see it sync, you could also go to sync configuration, or you can go to library at the top and sync, which mine is giving me some issues here, probably because this is a demonstration library. But once you have synced your library, you'll see your account information at the top left here. And then you should have your account synced with your EndNote Web. Now, if you want to share your library, so let's say I want to share this library here with one of my colleagues, what I would have to do is go to File, so this File tab at the top of the toolbar, and then I'm going to select Share. And because I don't have mine synced properly right now, maybe if I click yes, it'll sync, which it has. So once it has synced properly here, which as you can see it has, and you go ahead and share your library, you'll see this pop up here. So from here, what you want to do is you want to enter the person's email address that you are trying to share your library with. Now, I do want to stress that the person you are trying to invite, or the person that you are trying to share your library with, must also have an EndNote Web account. So you want to make sure that you're using the email that they use to create their EndNote Web account so that they can be able to open and access the shared library. So I'm going to go ahead and just pretend like I'm going to share this with my colleague. And then once you add their email, this invite button is going to pop up here on the lower right. So you want to go and invite them. And then they're going to receive that invitation to open the shared library. You can also change the permission. So this person can choose to both access and also edit the library. So maybe add things in, look at the PDFs, or maybe you want them to only read or be able to only view your library. And not be able to make any changes to it. So you can also change the permissions as well. So that's how you would share your library. If someone has shared a library with you, you would go back to File, the File tab at the top of the toolbar. And then you're going to select Open a Shared Library. And that's how you would open a library that has been shared with you. Nobody has shared a library with me because this is a demonstration library. So, but this is sort of where you would go if you want to open a library that has been shared with you. Now, the next thing that I do want to talk about is actually bibliographies. The great thing about EndNote is that there are several ways to create bibliographies. One way is using the Cite While You Write tool in Google Doc and Microsoft Word, which I will demonstrate in a moment. But first, I want to show you other options apart from the Cite While You Write feature to create bibliographies. One way is to export your citations from your library. So if you want to export this list of references here that I have, so let's say I wanted to export this, What I want to do is first select an output style. So I would go to output style under the tools tab here. And then I can select either one of the ones that I already have here, or I can also select new open style manager. And this will give you a list of other citation styles that you can choose from. I'm going to keep mine to JAMA. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be able to export this. What I'm going to do is go to File tab at the top of the toolbar and select Export. From here, you can give it a name. So I'm going to call this Childhood Asthma Bibliography. Make sure you are aware of where you are placing your bibliography. So I'm going to keep it under Documents. You can choose the file type. So maybe I decide I want it to be in a rich text format. And you can also choose the output style from here as well. So I see that it wasn't changed. So I'm going to change it back to JAMA. And then I'm going to go ahead and save it. And if I go into my documents where I saved, you should be able to see it here. And now I have that one reference saved. So you want to make sure that you are clicking, selecting the references that you want to export. So in this case, I had this single one that I exported, but if I wanted to export all of these, I would go ahead and select all of the ones that I wanted to export. Now, another option for creating bibliographies is doing what's called copy formatted. And this is particularly good for if you have a short reference list or if there are only certain citations that you want to sort of create a bibliography for. So one way to do this is if I just change this back to summary really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and select a citation. And at the bottom, you're going to see this, this little like drop down here where it says JAMA, which is the sort of reference that I have, the citation style that I have saved here. It may look a little bit different, but you just want to go to this drop down, select one of the citation styles that you want, and it will automatically change for the other ones. So if I select one of these random citations here, you'll see that it says APA 7th. Maybe I decide I want JAMA again, and it will all change to that citation style that I changed it to. So you can also change your output style here as well. So once I've selected my output style and select the citations that I want, so maybe I decide I want to copy and paste these, I'm going to go ahead and select those, and then I'm going to right click and select copy formatted reference. Alternatively, I can go to references at the top of the toolbar here and also select copy formatted reference. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then what I'm going to do is open a Word document. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that over. So here I've pasted the references that I had in my library. So that's also another option that you have as well. Since we're already on Microsoft Word, I think this is a good way to start showing you how to use the Cite while you write feature in Word. So when you download EndNote, and I should mention that with the previous version of EndNote 20, you could only use the Cite while you write tool in Microsoft Word. But now with the updated EndNote 21 version, you can also use this in Google Docs. So I will be showing you how to use both, because how to access and use them between the two will differ very slightly. But here with Microsoft Word, when you have downloaded EndNote, it will automatically place the EndNote 21 ribbon or plugin in your Microsoft Word. So here you'll see at the top, I have here EndNote 21. And if I click on that, it'll give me all of these options here. So if I want to, so let's say I'm writing a manuscript, I'm going to go here, I'm writing stuff. Maybe I should make this a tad bit bigger so that you guys can see. Go back to EndNote 21 ribbon here. And I'm like, you know what? I want to add an in-text citation for this. So what I'm going to do is if I want to add a citation to this, I'm going to go to Insert Citation right here under EndNote 21. Here on the left-hand side, you will see Insert Citation. And then from here, you can choose to type like some kind of keyword, maybe the title. I'm just going to keep it basic to asthma. And I'm going to select this first citation here. I'm like, you know what? This is the citation I want to add. I'm going to go ahead and insert that. And here it has created the citation, and it has also started creating the bibliography for me as well. If at any point I want to change the citation style, I can just go ahead to style here at the top, and I'll click the drop down and I can select either one of the pre-selected ones that are here, or I can choose to select another style. But I'm going to decide I want to change this to JAMA. And if I click on that, it will automatically change the citation for me. So I don't have to do anything else. I just have to go ahead and click the one that I want, and it's going to automatically make those changes. So just to show you one more time what that looks like, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm writing more stuff, and I'm going to select insert citation. Maybe I decide I want to add this second one and insert it. And again, it's building your bibliography here as you are writing your manuscript. Now, if for whatever reason you want to edit your citation, you want to move, you want to maybe remove. So let's say I decide I want to remove this second citation here. I will go to edit and manage citations, which is right here on the top left. And then from here, I can choose to remove a citation. Now, I don't recommend editing your citation here. If, let's say, you notice, oh, this is actually misspelled, or there's an error, some other kind of error, I recommend actually going into your EndNote library. So actually going into EndNote desktop program and editing it there. And then once you've edited there, you want to return here, and you can select update citations and bibliography, or maybe, you would go to update citations and bibliography, and it will update your citations here. The reason why you want to do this in the EndNote desktop program to edit the citation instead of editing it here is because you could be potentially messing up the metadata. So I highly recommend just going into your EndNote library, making any changes there, and then coming here and updating your citations and your bibliography. But once you've done that, you will see those changes reflect right away. So that's how you would use Cite while you write in Microsoft Word. I do want to show you what this looks like with Google Doc. Again, this is a feature that is new with EndNote 21. So if you have an old version of EndNote, like let's say you have an EndNote 20 or EndNote X9, this feature will not be available to you. You also need your EndNote Web account as well. So you need EndNote 21 to be able to use Cite while you write in Google Doc. And you will also need your EndNote Web account as well. So this is something that is really important to you. I highly recommend upgrading to EndNote 21 if you haven't, and also creating your EndNote Web account. Now, unlike Microsoft Word, where the plugin just automatically appeared in Microsoft Word when you download EndNote, here with Google Doc, you will have to add the extension manually. To be able to do that, you're going to go to extensions here at the toolbar, at the top of the toolbar on your Word document. So I've just opened up a Word document, a document here in Google Doc. So I'm going to go ahead and select extensions and then add-ons, and I'm going to select get add-ons. From here, I'm going to search EndNote Cite while you write, and it pops up here. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And I already have mine installed, so that's why it says uninstall, but yours will say install. So you're going to go ahead and install it and then follow the instructions. Once you have installed, to be able to access Cite while you write in Google Doc, what you're going to do is go back to extensions, and you're going to see EndNote Cite while you write appear here at the bottom, and then you're going to go ahead and open it. Now, if you don't see this open option, what you might want to do is just reload the page, and then you should see it appear here again. Sometimes you just need to reload the page in order to be able to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. And once it has opened, you will see a pop-up appear on the right-hand side asking you to sign in to your EndNote Web account. So this is why I say you need your EndNote Web account, is because unlike Microsoft Word, where it's pulling the references from your desktop, from your EndNote desktop application. With Google Doc, it's pulling the citations from EndNote Web. So this is where you want to make sure that your library is synced and you have your EndNote Web account. So I'm just going to go ahead and just add my login information. And of course, I have a very hard password. So hopefully it goes in with one try here. Go ahead and sign in. And then once it has signed me in, you will see your references appear here. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did when I was in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to go, I am writing stuff. Let's say I want to add a citation to this. I'm going to go ahead and place my cursor where I want it to go, which is right here. And then if you have other groups, in this case, I have some other ones. So I see here that the childhood asthma one hasn't popped up, but that's fine. So I'm going to select one of my other demos that I have here, which is this cancer demo. Although my asthma one is popping up here as well, probably because I have all references. But if let's say you have a different group that you want to select, you can go ahead and select the other ones under all references. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just start adding a citation to this. So I'm going to select one of these references. Maybe I'll select this one. And then I'm going to select insert citation at the bottom here. So insert citation. And if you give it a moment, the citation will pop up here. Now you will notice that the bibliography hasn't automatically popped up as well. But what I'm going to do for now is just write a couple more stuff. So I'm going to put, I'm writing more stuff. And I'm going to add one of these other citations here. So maybe I'll pick this second one and insert the citation. Give it a second and you will see it pop up here. So if you want to insert the bibliography, so the bibliography was not created automatically in the same way that you saw with a Microsoft Word. So what you would want to do is select update citations here on the right hand side at the bottom. Give it a couple seconds and then it will create the bibliography based on the citation that you have already input. So here I have my reference list. Now let's say I decide that I want to change the citation style. What I would want to do is go to these three dots here that when I add my cursor to it, it says more actions. And I'm going to select citation style. And then from here, just like with Microsoft Word, I can go ahead and select a citation style from this dropdown, or I can choose to search for a specific one. So here I searched up JAMA, and then JAMA appeared here. So I can go ahead and select that citation style. And then you will see that change accordingly. For now, I'm just going to keep mine as is. Under manage citations, this is where you will find update citations and bibliography. So again, if there's a change that you need to make to one of your citations, I do recommend doing that in EndNote itself, and then coming back here and just updating the citations. And then sort of that's how you would use the Cite While You Write plugin with Google Doc. It's pretty straightforward. It is a little bit of like an extra layer of work compared to Microsoft Word because you have to install the plugin and you have to sign in. But for the most part, everything else is pretty similar, if not the same, just placed in different areas. Now, I do want to mention one thing about using this feature is that if you exit your browser and come back into Google Doc, you may be asked to sign in again. So depending on your preferences, that may be a con for you, is having to sign in each time you exit your browser and come back having to sign in again. But that's how you would use the Cite While You Write feature in Google Doc. Again, a little bit different from Microsoft Word, but for the most part, pretty similar in terms of how you use it. Now, the last thing that I do want to mention are just some tips here. So one is when it comes to your library, I do recommend backing up your library regularly just to prevent from losing your work. I see this happen all the time where someone hasn't backed up their library and then something happens and they completely lose their library and there's no way to sort of restore everything. So I do recommend backing up your library regularly. Now, in order to be able to do this, what you want to do is go into your EndNote library, and what you want to do is just go to File here at the top of the toolbar and select Compress Library. This will create a .enlx file. Now, I mentioned this earlier in the presentation, is that when you create and save your library for the first time, you want to save it in your hard drive and not the cloud, because it will corrupt over time if you save it in the cloud. This .enlx file, however, when you back up your library, this .enlx file is a stable form of your library, so you can save this in the cloud. So when you back up your library, it'll create this file here. It will create a compressed library, this .enlx file. You can save this in the cloud if you want. So I recommend backing up your library often just to prevent from losing your work. Another thing that I also recommend as well is checking your library for updates. So if you're on a Mac, what you would do is just go to EndNote 21 at the top of the toolbar and check for updates. And if you're on a PC, you would go to Help at the top of the toolbar and check for updates. I do recommend checking for updates regularly, especially if EndNote is sort of experiencing any glitches, just to make sure that you are up to date. Lastly, there are a bunch of additional resources for using EndNote. So obviously there's the Levy Library EndNote guide. Clarivate, which owns EndNote, also has their own guide for how to use EndNote. Clarivate also has an EndNote YouTube channel, which has a whole bunch of very short videos of how to use EndNote. And there is also EndNote's technical support page. So if you experience any issues with EndNote, you can go ahead and contact EndNote technical support. And with that, I thank you for watching today's session on Introduction to EndNote 21. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact our Ask a Librarian service via chat, phone, email, or text. If you are having any issues with EndNote or you have any questions about EndNote, please feel free to email us at refdesk@mssm.edu or using one of our other contact methods here on this slide here.